Today we are going to be continuing on with our exponent work, except today we're going to have negative exponents, okay? The negative exponents, we treat those a little bit differently than we treated our exponents yesterday, but it's not hard, okay? So let's take a look at our first example, okay? The first two things we have here says evaluate the powers of 10, okay? These two examples are fairly simple, and I'm going to show you how to write these as fractions and also as decimals, okay? Now, basically what we're going to do whenever we are trying to figure out how to write a number to a power, especially a negative power, is we're going to have to eliminate that negative exponent. Now, to eliminate that negative exponent, what we're going to do is we're going to take our base number that we have, which in this one is 10, and we're going to make a fraction out of that, okay, to where our base number is going to become our denominator and our numerator is going to become 1. So, in order to make this negative 2, this exponent of negative 2 into a positive 2, we're going to change that 10 into 1/10. Okay? So, be just like that. And by changing that into a fraction, we've eliminated that negative exponent. So now we have 1/10 to the second power. Now to solve that, we do the same thing. It would just be 1/10 times 1/10. Like that. Okay? Now, when we solve that, well, what's 1 times 1? Well, it's 10 times 10. Yeah, 100. So we end up with 1 over 100, or you could also write this 0.01. Same thing. Okay? That's our answer for that. That's all there is to it. Pretty simple. Okay? Now the 10s, when we have a 10s raised to a power, those are going to be the only ones that we're actually using decimals on today, because if it was another number besides 10 in our denominator, we couldn't transform it to a decimal quite as easily. But we will do others. Let's take a look at our second one here. Okay? 10 to the negative 1 power. Well, again, we're going to have to convert that to a fraction, so that would be 1/10 to the 1 power. Well, what does 1/10 to the 1 power equal? It equals 1/10. Okay, which is the same thing as 0.1. Okay, and any of those ways to write that would be acceptable. All right, questions on how I did that? Now, our next couple of examples will make it a little bit more clear to you, especially whenever we're dealing with numbers with other than 10. So let's take a look at our next one. Remember, you guys should be copying these down in your notes. All right, this one right here says 5 to the negative 3rd power. Okay, 5 to the negative 3 power. Well, the first thing we have to do is eliminate our negative exponent. We have to get that to be a positive exponent. How do I do that? What did I just do a moment ago? Yeah, I'm going to put 1 over something. Okay, and what do you think my denominator is going to be in this one? Yeah, it's going to be 5 because our base is 5. So we're going to change this 5 to the negative 3 power into 1/5, 1 over 5, to the 3rd power. Now, we solve it like we normally would, okay? So this is going to be like 1/5 times 1/5 times 1/5. Well, what's 1 times 1 times 1? 1. What's 5 times 5 times 5? 125. That's right. 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 is 125. And that's my answer right there. Okay? So, 5 to the negative 3 power equals 1 over 125. Now, as you can see, obviously we're not going to change that 1 over 125 to a decimal because that would be hard. Okay? And we don't have to do that. Your paper allows us to leave our answer like that anyways. Okay, questions on that? No? All right, now let's take a look at the next one. Ooh, now they're getting harder. Actually, this one really isn't that hard, but we're going to solve this one the same way. But if you notice, now my 7, or should I say negative 7, has a negative in front of it also. Okay? So let's talk about how we're going to solve that one. The way we solve this is the same way we solve the others. The only difference is now our fraction is going to be negative. Okay? So we need to get rid of this negative exponent right there. And to do that, what are we going to do? Yeah, put 1. Oh, that's exactly right. We're going to put 1 over negative 7. Okay, so we're going to make this 1 over negative 7 to the 4th power. Now I solve that like I normally would. Okay, because I know that 1 to the 1 over negative 7 to the 4th power is going to be like 1 over negative 7 times 1 over negative 7 times 1 over negative 7 times 1 over negative 7. Now, what does all that mean? Well, I know that 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Okay? Now, what is negative 7 times negative 7? 49. It's positive 49 because our signs are the same. So, that over here, that's going to be 49 as well. Well, what's 49 times 49? 2,401? Come on, y'all don't know y'all's times tables from 0 to 50? Me either, but it's the same as it was for the first class, and I remember that it's 2,401 if we were to multiply that out. It's 1 over 2,401. And again, you don't have to write that in decimal form because that would be super hard. That is a very small fraction. Yeah, it's like super tiny. Yes, ma'am. They'll all have 1 on the top. Whenever we're converting like this, yes, because 1 times 1 is always going to be something like that. Now, the ones that have that are to like the 10 to a power, those might be a decimal answer. We could write that as a decimal. But all the others will have a 1 on the top for the most part. Now, let's take a look at our next example because you'll see this one isn't going to have 1 on the top, but it's not because we're doing a direct conversion. It's because we actually have some other things that we're going to plug in there and solve for. Okay? Now, this one is a great example also because we have this number over here, negative 2 to the 0 power. And we need to talk about any number raised to the 0 power. What is any number raised to the 0 power? Anybody remember this from last year? No, not 0. Not whatever the number is, because any number raised to the 1 power, that's what the number is. Right? Man, that's tough. So if any number raised to the 1 power is that number, and it's not 0, yes, it's 1. Okay? It's 1. Any number raised to 0 power is 1. Now, why is that? Well, let's talk about why that is. Because let's say we had 5 to the 3rd power. Okay? Now, we know that 5 to the 3rd power is 125, right? 5 to the 2nd power is what? 25. That's right. Okay? And that's basically, this is the 3rd power. This is the 2nd power. What's 5 to the 1 power? 5. What's happening? What am I doing here every time, essentially? Well, I'm decreasing, but I'm dividing by 5, right? What is 125 divided by 5? 25. What's 25 divided by 5? What's 5 divided by 5? That's why any number raised to 0 power is 1, because that number divided by itself is 1. Okay? That's why that is the way it is. Yes, ma'am? Well, you'd have to convert that to a fraction, all that other stuff. I'll answer that after we're done with our lesson, okay? All right, let's take a look on how to actually solve this equation here. Okay, so let's solve this one. Obviously, I have to do my order of operations, so I'm going to have to do my PEMDAS, remember my please excuse my dear Aunt Sally and all that good stuff. Okay, so I'll start here. 5 minus, what is 6 minus 4? 2. So that's going to be 2 to the negative 3 power plus, what do we say any number raised to 0 power is? 1, so we can go ahead and solve for that one also. That gives us 1. All right, now let's solve for this, this 2 to the negative 3 power. What is 2 to raise the negative 3 power? Well, it is going to be 1 over 2, but isn't it going to be like 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2? Yeah, right, because 2 times 2 is 4, times 2, that's 8. So this is going to be like 5 minus 1 over 8 plus 1. Well, what is 5 minus 1/8? Yeah, so we're going to have 4 and 7/8 plus 1. Well, what is 4 and 7/8 plus 1? 5 and 7/8. Yes. 5 and 7/8 is my answer. Okay? All right, questions on how we did that? No? Fantastic. Then let's get to work on your assignment.